While Tatum stirred her coffee in the elegant, granite-countered kitchen that her daughter had worked so tirelessly for, Finley felt a contradictory swirl of familiarity and resentment. Tatum chatted nonchalantly about how the tough love she and her husband, Ronan, had employed had clearly paid off. Finley was now 32, and witnessing the casual intrusion of her past into her present left a bitter taste in her mouth. Tatum and Ronan had tracked her down after reading about Finley's company in various business publications. When we saw your name in that magazine, Ronan remarked, his gaze shifting across the stylish decor with a keen interest that lingered like an unwelcome specter, we knew that our parenting approach was vindicated. Sometimes, children need a firm shove to reach their potential. It was baffling for Finley to hear them describe her expulsion at 18 as nothing more than a push, given they had thrown her out for failing to gain admission to Dartmouth. To them, the full scholarship she'd earned from Belmont University hadn't matched their aloft expectations. With disapproval veiled as concern, Tatum surveyed the room, noting, the place seems costly, though the neighborhood might have better options. You always had a knack for interesting choices, didn't you? Finley silently revisited the years that followed their abandonment. She remembered the cramped apartment she had shared while juggling 2 jobs, attending evening courses, and meticulously crafting her business from scratch. She could still taste the sacrifices, the skipped meals, and the sleepless nights spent balancing her finances just to afford the bus fare. As if reading from the wrong script, Ronan then declared, "We've been considering, now that you've proven successful, the matter concerning repayment." "Repayment?" Finley echoed, casting an icy glance his way while her heart hardened with indignation. "For raising you, of course," Tatum interjected, her voice a sugary blend of expectation and entitlement. "Consider the private schools, the music lessons, a lifetime's worth of opportunities we provided. We invested heavily in your potential, and it's only fair you reciprocate with appreciation now." Finley's mind drifted, recalling the relentless pressure, the suffocating criticism, and the never-ending expectation that made every win feel like a failure. Ronan laid a folder on the counter, its contents meticulously recorded with a cold precision that betrayed their conditional love. 18 years of expenses, adjusted for inflation, and given your financial state, we think a payment plan is reasonable. They discussed her so-called debts with an impersonal detachment as befitting boardroom negotiations, so divorced from the emotional reality that they could have been strangers. They acted as if the emotional scars they've left were the cost of doing business. In silent defiance, Finley sipped her coffee, cloaking her silence in a guise of compliance, knowing full well the detachment they misinterpreted as submission. Tatum continued, sliding age documents across the island. Private school tuition, the ballet lessons, tennis camps. All of it contributed to who you are today. Finley scanned the papers, each one a reminder of never measuring up. The school where she was constantly pitted against her peers, the ballet classes with their unyielding critique on her strong build, and those tennis camps where Ronan berated her every flaw, rituals masquerading as nurturing. Ronan pointed out the tutoring expenses, adding with a smirk, not that it got you into Dartmouth, but clearly, it paid off indirectly. Tatum nodded. If only you'd applied yourself more. You might have achieved more. I was the valedictorian, Finley countered quietly at last, her voice steady and lacking the tremor they might have expected. Yes, Tatum retorted dismissively, but at a public school, after we poured so much into private education. Transferring back was the first sign of your rebellion. A rebellion, Finley mused, that had been instigated by a counselor's concerns over anxiety and depression, only to be dismissed when her parents pulled her out to protect their image. The irony did not escape her as they sat in her home, asking for a return on their investment. As Ronan gazed at the panoramic view from his Portland penthouse, the city lights twinkled like scattered jewels against the dark velvet sky. His serene contemplation was rudely interrupted by the clink of fine china. It came from the kitchen, where his parents, Tatum and Ronan, discussed his financials as if browsing an investment portfolio. A fair return on investment, Ronan lectured, his voice smooth and businesslike, perhaps 20% from your company's yearly profits, considering today's economic climate. Finley's recollection of their abrupt departure from his life 14 years ago still burned. "Did you keep receipts for the month after you evicted me?" Finley queried, his voice iced with calm resolve. Their eyes met with a silent interchange of anxiety. "That's irrelevant," Tatum began, but Finley interrupted, "I do think it matters. Because I did keep receipts." Rising with purpose, Finley retrieved a folder from his office, returning with physical embodiments of his resilience. "This," he presented, sliding a document across the table, "is for the motel from my first week on my own. And here's one from when I was sick, but couldn't afford antibiotics." Their feigned indifference crumpled as Finley revealed more: credit card statements from living frugally, pay stubs from juggling retail and food service jobs while attending classes at Evergreen Community College. Tatum's patience thinned. "You're being melodramatic." Finley, unfazed, countered, "Dramatic is abandoning your child over a college choice." To Tatum, the fact Finley attended Belmont University rather than Dartmouth was a bitter pill. All of that potential wasted. "I settled for survival," Finley retorted, escalating his voice only slightly. "I earned every success. Do you grasp what I endured? Sleeping on couches, eating sparsely to save for textbooks, transforming mere ideas into what you see today, all without support from you." Ronan squirmed uncomfortably, muttering, "Now, let's be reasonable." Finley cut him off. "Here are the emails, where you forbade family members to help, telling them I needed to learn about mediocrity's consequences." As he spoke, he displayed each document, texts, financial records, experiences distilled into paper trails. Tatum's defiant confidence waned, her recollected certainties losing resonance. "Your achievements show our approach worked," Ronan tried again, though doubt painted his words. "These receipts," Finley clarified coldly, "they expose your parental failings. I thrive despite you. Every triumph you speculate over happened after I was on my own." Tatum's hands trembled. "Ungrateful," she accused, her voice cracking. Finley's laugh was a dry, humorless sound. "For what? The therapy I'm still paying off? The panic during every college season? The self-worth I had to rebuild?" As the facade of their dominance crumbled, Tatum and Ronan remained rooted, confronted by a version of Finley they hadn't anticipated, a man armored with confidence, verified by his extensive documentation. "The debt, if anything, lies with you," Finley concluded. Abdicated parenting over 14 years seems adequate grounds for seeking compensation. Tatum's insistence sounded hollow now. "We were just providing motivation." Finley fished out the final document, one more powerful than the rest. "This letter," he stated, holding it out deliberately, "where you attempted to cancel my scholarship at Belmont University." They turned ghostly pale, their previous bravado starkly absent. "We intended your benefit," Ronan stammered feebly, but his gaze lingered on the evidence of their betrayal. "Dartmouth may have given me credentials," Finley noted wryly, "but it wouldn't have taught me faith in my own perseverance, the resilience of earnings from the ground up, the determination ingrained through trial." He smiled, a simple gesture morphing into a revelation of power. For the first time, Tatum and Ronan truly looked undone. "Only I can champion myself," Finley declared, a lesson you unwittingly imparted. The formidable facade Tatum had built around her pride shattered as she gathered her belongings, retreating silently from the home her son had sculpted out of adversity. At the precise moment Finley opened her front door to strangers in the guise of family members, she felt as if her world was being repainted in unfamiliar shades. Her parents, Tatum and Ronan, had arrived without an invitation, their intentions as transparent as glass. The past rolled back like a tidal wave, with Ronan's voice cutting through the air, clearly, "You've become rather bitter." Finley met their eyes smoothly, her voice a calm ocean of success. "No, I've found my footing." "There's a stark difference." Rising to her full height, Finley embodied the journey she had charted. "Every success," she began with quiet defiance, "is marked by paths I carved alone. Not a penny of yours, nor a shred of support, played a part." Tatum interjected, desperation tinging her voice. "We came to have a reasonable discussion about profiting from a story you once tried to end," Finley responded, creating a boundary they'd not cross again. "About pretending a role in achievements you did your utmost to undermine." The sound of the front door clicking open echoed the finality in her stance. "We're finished here." Tatum's voice wavered, echoing throughout the hallway. "We're your parents, Finley." But Finley shook her head slowly, a recollection of resilience in her eyes. "You're just people who once lived under the same roof. People who mistook cruelty for care and now seek to capitalize on a daughter's success they tried to bury." "This isn't over," Ronan bluffed, though his words faltered between them. Finley's gaze never wavered as she said, "It ended the day you changed the locks. Now I'm the one closing this door." They stood empty-handed on her porch, outmaneuvered by the daughter they once underestimated. Instead of leverage, they found a woman who had kept meticulous records, proof of perseverance their delusions could never breach. Ignoring the fallout required resolve, yet when Tatum launched a carefully curated social media campaign, casting herself as a heartbroken parent, Finley was unmoved. Images portraying happy memories surfaced, paired with captions drenched in artificial grief, claiming they had always pushed her to excel. The internet, however, proved a double-edged sword. Former teachers, old neighbors, and even distant relatives began chipping away at their polished facade. Memories flowed through the comments, exposing cracks. "Remember when you screamed at her during the school play?" one recalled. "Or when she had to play tennis with a fever because champions don't rest," another added. Even Sienna, Tatum's estranged sister, finally broke her silence. She forwarded archived emails, each a relic of Tatum's cold reality. "Finley needs to understand," one email read, "second best won't do. Belmont University isn't our standard. Better she learns failure's lessons now." Finley tucked these communications into her steadily growing collection, not for revenge, but as reminders of her resilience. Her company thrived in the aftermath, accumulating stories worth their weight in courage. An article profiling Finley's unconventional path to success spread like wildfire, emphasizing resilience over accolades. When questioned about her parents, she coolly remarked, "Some lessons are about survival, not success." The publication struck a chord, resonating not only because of her professional achievements, but for her embodiment of self-reliance. Its statements on redefining family and rebounding from rejection captured widespread attention. In a last-ditch effort, Tatum and Ronan attempted to breach her fortified workspace. As they appeared at her company's doorstep, Finley's forewarned receptionist ensured security halted them swiftly. Just 5 minutes, Tatum pled into the muted buzz of the office. As Finley watched the sun dip below the Austin skyline from her corner office, the sight usually filled her with tranquility. Today, however, anticipation hung in the air as she prepared for a confrontation with her past. Her parents, Ronan and Tatum, had requested a meeting, and now, as security guided them to the reception area, Finley felt a rush of emotions coalesce. "We've been doing some thinking," Tatum began, trying to sound earnest. Finley met them head-on, stepping into the lobby with a calm that belied her intensity. "Let me guess," she said, each word measured. "You've realized how you wronged me, and now you're here to bury the hatchet?" Ronan nodded eagerly, a gleam of hope in his eyes. "We see now that we were too harsh," he admitted. "But every decision was meant to steer you towards greatness." "No," Finley corrected, her voice unwavering. "Your choices were never about my future. They were about your own prestige. Dartmouth wasn't about my dreams. It was a status symbol for you." Tatum bristled. "That's not fair. We sacrificed everything." Finley's steely gaze met hers. "Sacrificed nothing. You discarded me when I refused to fit the fantasy you've created. And now, against all odds, I've succeeded despite you, and you hope to alter the narrative." Around them, Finley's team, privy to her backstory, discreetly looked on. She'd established a workplace where encouragement trumped criticism, where personal growth was paramount. "We're still your parents," Tatum pleaded, desperation seeping into every syllable. "No," Finley retorted. "Parents don't discard their child for choosing the wrong university. Parents don't sabotage their kids' scholarships. Parents don't turn up years later, wielding receipts as if parenting were a transaction. Security loomed patiently by the elevator as tears glazed Tatum's eyes, an act perfected over years. "You've become so cold," her mother accused softly. Finley's reply was immediate. "No, I've become successful. You hate that I built this without you, disproving your philosophy, achieving everything without Dartmouth, without your networks, without your approval." Ronan tried again, stepping forward. "If you would just hear us, I heard you for 18 years. Every critique, every command, every reminder of how I didn't measure up. Now it's your turn. Leave my office, leave my life, and take those receipts with you." As security ushered them toward the elevator, Tatum called back one last time, "You'll regret this when you have kids." Finley watched them vanish behind metal doors, already contemplating how her own parenting would champion effort over perfection, resilience over prestige, innovation over credentials. 6 months after this encounter, her company inaugurated a scholarship for students overcoming personal adversities. The inaugural award went to a girl ousted by her parents for attending a state university instead of their chosen elite institution. The irony was palpable, especially when Tatum attempted to claim credit, posting online about how her tough love had taught Finley the importance of altruism. However, her Aunt Sienna, the silent guardian who had defied Ronan and Tatum's embargo, quickly shared screenshots of Tatum's post alongside preserved emails recounting the truth. "Your mom's trying to rewrite her legacy again," she wrote. Sienna's own history included quietly supporting Finley, sending care packages and discreet cash transfers during her toughest times. Sienna confided during lunch that Tatum and Ronan believed the scholarship validated their tactics, suggesting they imparted the value of education. Finley only smiled, thinking of the acceptance letter she had just signed for the next awardee. "They taught me valuable lessons, indeed," she mused, "just not the ones they intended." As Finley's company flourished, expanding into new territories, recruiting more talent, settling into grander offices, each milestone testified not to their methods, but to her indomitable spirit. A prominent business journal ran a follow-up feature on her scholarship work, prompting the interviewer to inquire about her parents' assertions. "Some lessons come from emulation," she explained astutely. "Success doesn't come with a map, but with each step Finley took, she etched out her own path, one lesson as vivid as the one before." As the world's attention turned again to an article showcasing her scholarship program, Finley was reminded of what had once held her back. The piece went viral, unearthing a wealth of stories from others who had faced similar trials, parents who had wielded educational aspirations as weapons or withdrawn support over their children's collegiate decisions. Finley's journey had been a testament to achieving success despite, not because of, family pressures. Her mother, Tatum, attempted to reach out. A voicemail she left was filled with hollow admiration. "We're proud of what you've become. We always knew you had it in you." Finley archived the message among her collection, not for any intrinsic need, but as a symbol showing her evolution from restraint to realization. The scholarship program flourished, branching out to offer mentorship as well. Finley was adamant that each recipient recognized their worth extended beyond academic performance, that determination and resilience defined them more than any acceptance letter. In a twist, Tatum and Ronan, quite unintentionally, had imparted a crucial lesson: how to seize opportunity from adversity, to shape pain into purpose. During a scholarship ceremony, a young recipient inquired what had motivated Finley to create the program. Looking into the audience of eager faces, each likely grappling with familial expectations, Finley articulated a truth she'd long felt. "Success isn't about the destination alone," she said, "but the growth along the journey." Often the toughest experiences provide the most profound insights, not through others' designs, but through our self-discovery. That message reverberated widely, as Tatum and Ronan unwisely seized the moment to claim credit via social media for Finley's altruism. Yet, their narrative quickly unraveled. A former schoolmate responded succinctly, "Weren't you the ones who left Finley without support when she had nowhere to go?" A barbed reminder of the past. These stories from scholarship students began to resonate, catalyzing change far beyond Finley's personal sphere. Parents reached out, many reassessing their approaches to their children's futures. One father confessed, "After learning about your scholarships, I asked my daughter what she wanted. She's pursuing art now, and I've never seen her happier." Aunt Sienna, who had supported Finley in quiet defiance of Tatum and Ronan, attended every award event. Her words were a balm. "This," she said with pride, "is true legacy. Not the one your mother tried to shape, but one you created." Finley's company also extended the program, offering emergency housing for students whose educational paths estranged them from their families. Predictably, Tatum attempted to turn Finley's community work into a feather in her cap. "We taught her the value of support," she posted online, conveniently overlooking their role in dismantling Finley's safety net years before. In retaliation, a high school counselor stepped forward, releasing a decade-old report she'd filed alerting of psychological abuse, a document threatened into obscurity by Tatum and Ronan's legal coercion. "Remember when you cautioned me against staining their reputation?" she queried pointedly. "See how they've managed it alone now." Even in the face of all this, Ronan wasn't deterred. At a business symposium where Finley was a keynote, he attempted a final reconciliation of sorts, cornering her post-speech. "We've been thinking," he began, recycling once familiar rhetoric used to dismiss her collegiate aspirations. "Your mother and we could offer guidance for your—" Finley, embodying the assurance she'd earned, merely smiled before responding gently but firmly, "Thank you, but I've built my own advisors." With that, she turned back to the crowd, her past now merely a ghost she'd long since learned to exorcise. The heartbeats of countless dreams filled the room as Finley stood at the podium, the celebration of her scholarship program's 5th anniversary unfolding with palpable energy. Here, surrounded by thriving recipients, each carrying their tales of resilience, Finley could sense the ripples of change she'd envisioned long ago. When Ronan, her father, approached her at a business conference with an unexpected offer, Finley recognized not the stern authority of her youth, but a man grasping at straws of a legacy he realized he couldn't craft alone. "We could help screen candidates," Ronan suggested, the urgency in his eyes betraying more than his words. "Ensure they're worthy of this investment." Finley gently rebuffed him. "The essence of this program is the belief that everyone is deserving of support, which you never quite grasped." The conversation marked a definitive turn. 6 months later, during the program's celebratory event, they were absent, but that absence no longer held any consequence. A new legacy had taken root, replacing their outdated dream of Ivy League success with a tapestry of authentic achievement. Media captured the occasion, spotlighting former scholarship recipients who'd transformed the support into flourishing careers or their own business ventures. Each testimony affirmed that their self-worth was never meant to be shackled to parental expectations. Among the crowd, a young entrepreneur, Finley, one of Finley's earliest scholars, approached. "My parents actually reached out last week," she confided, joy lacing her voice. "They finally see why I needed my own way. Your journey showed them what they almost missed." Finley smiled, mindful of the irony with her own parents, Ronan and Tatum, who continued to broadcast a distorted version of her success story to anyone still listening. Yet as more narratives of individual triumphs circulated, their influence waned, not through direct confrontation, but through the clear, undeniable truth. Success had blossomed without elitist pressures, proving that value lay beyond mere acceptance letters. A tradition emerged within Finley's program, gifting each student a journal inscribed with, "Your worth defies the limits others set." It was the message Finley herself had longed for at 18, now a beacon for those walking similar paths. Her final interaction with her parents came via a certified letter. They intended to amend their will to leave her the family estate, contingent upon conditions. The scholarship must bear their names, and positions on the foundation's board were theirs by right. Finley's response was succinct and resolute. "No, thank you. I've thrived without your inheritance and will continue to do so." The program had grown into a cornerstone of empowerment, helping countless students who navigated familial resistance. Each success was a silent refutation of the idea that love should hinge on conditions or achievements defined by others. In a mentorship session, a student once questioned if Finley regretted not attending Dartmouth. Reflecting on all she'd built, not just a prosperous company, but a thriving foundation empowering others, she replied, "A degree from Dartmouth would have been valuable, but this journey offered something far greater, the assurance that everyone's path has worth, regardless of its direction." The last social media post Tatum made about Finley went without response, captioned with "A mother's love is shown through high expectations." Yet the comments from scholarship recipients resonated otherwise, harmonizing a deeper truth. Real love supports without strings, believes without limitations, and celebrates unconditionally, never seeking repayment.